A man in Pennsylvania was mowing his lawn when he disturbed something hidden in a rotting stump. Within seconds, 25 stings covered his body. His blood pressure crashed. Paramedics said he was minutes from death. What they found under that stump was a yellowjacket colony so massive, so aggressive, that one wrong move could have killed the entire neighborhood. This is what happened when a pest control expert and his daughter showed up with a shop vacuum and a plan that almost went horribly wrong. Yellowjackets are not just backyard pests. They are responsible for more emergency room visits than any other stinging insect in the United States. Over 500,000 every single year. And the terrifying truth is most homeowners are standing right on top of a hidden colony without any clue it exists. The question is not whether these nests are dangerous. The question is why they are built to kill so efficiently, and what this father-daughter team found inside that stump that changed how exterminators approach every removal since. The call came in on a Thursday afternoon in late August, the worst possible time of year. Yellowjacket colonies peak in late summer, and this one had been growing undisturbed for months. The homeowner, a retired electrician named Bill, had been mowing near the old stump at the edge of his property when the vibration triggered something subterranean. The wasps did not give a warning buzz. They poured out in a single coordinated wave. Bill told me later he never saw them coming, only felt the first sting on his neck, then his arm, then his back, his legs. He ran, but yellowjackets can fly faster than a human can sprint. By the time he reached his front door, paramedics counted 25 sting sites. The venom hit his bloodstream like a chemical weapon. His blood pressure dropped to 60 over palp. The ER team told his wife they were not sure he would make it through the night. When the pest control technician arrived the next morning, he was not walking into a routine job. His name was Dave, a veteran with 18 years of experience handling the nests others refused to touch. He brought his daughter Mackenzie, who had been training with him since she could carry a flashlight. Dave walked the property slowly, studying the ground. The stump stood about 3 feet high, hollowed out by rot, with a single dark opening at the base. Bill had already poured gasoline down that hole the night before the attack, a desperate move that only drove the colony deeper and made them more aggressive. Dave knelt near the entrance, listened for a moment, then stood up and looked at Mackenzie. He told her this was not a normal nest. The vibration signature coming through the ground was wrong. A typical underground colony might hold a couple thousand workers. This one felt different. He could hear it, and he knew that if the vacuum plan failed, they would be standing in the middle of a swarm that could deliver 1,500 stings per person. He handed Mackenzie the camera, pulled on his veil, and reached for the shop vacuum. What happened next is something no training manual can prepare you for. The moment Dave flipped the switch, the air changed. The vacuum motor roared to life, and the ground around the stump erupted. Not a dozen wasps, not 100. A living column of yellowjackets poured out of that hole like smoke from a chimney, wings beating in a furious collective hum that Mackenzie later described as the loudest thing she had ever heard in the field. The wasps did not scatter. They oriented instantly toward the intruder, toward the vibration, toward Dave. He held the nozzle steady at the entrance and watched them get pulled into the hose in a continuous stream. Within the first 60 seconds, the clear canister of the shop vac was already clouding with bodies. Yellowjackets are not like bees. They have no barbs on their stingers, which means each individual can sting again and again without dying. A single nest at peak season can house 5,000 workers, each one capable of delivering multiple stings. The math is terrifying. If a full colony decides to attack, a person can receive hundreds of stings in under a minute. The venom contains a cocktail of compounds that destroy cell tissue, trigger intense pain, and in allergic individuals send the immune system into total overload. That was what nearly killed Bill. And now Dave was standing 3 feet from the source, with nothing but a mesh veil and a shop vacuum. The deeper he pushed the nozzle into the opening, the more the colony revealed itself. Chunks of paper-carton, the chewed wood fiber material yellowjackets build their nests from, started getting pulled into the hose. Mackenzie zoomed in with the camera. She could see the hexagonal cells, each one containing a pale larva or a capped pupa. The nest was not just large, it was multi-tiered, spanning deep into the rutted root system. Dave estimated later that the cavity extended 4 feet below ground level, wider than the stump itself. This colony had been growing for at least 2 seasons, possibly 3, which meant it had survived a winter. That almost never happens. Most colonies die off when the cold hits, leaving only a hibernating queen. This one had somehow overwintered in the insulated hollow of that stump, which meant the queen had survived and her offspring had built on top of the old structure. The population was not just full, it was stacked. At one point, a single yellowjacket crawled out of the vacuum nozzle, fighting against the suction, and flew directly at Dave's face. It landed on his veil, stinger probing the mesh. He did not flinch. He told Mackenzie to keep filming. He reached up with a gloved hand, plucked the wasp off the fabric, and dropped it back into the airflow. That moment, that single act of calm, while a half-inch of insect fury was trying to reach his eyes, is the difference between a professional and a homeowner with a can of gasoline. The gasoline that Bill poured into the stump the night before had not killed the colony. It had burned the outer layer of carton and driven the survivors deeper into the earth. What Bill did not know, what almost nobody knows, is that pouring flammable liquid into a ground nest does not suffocate the wasps. They retreat into sealed chambers. They wait. And when the vibration of a lawn mower or a footstep returns, they come out angrier than before. Dave knew this. He had been called to more than 100 gasoline-related failures. He called them time bombs. After 20 minutes of continuous vacuuming, the flow of adults began to slow. The canister was now packed with thousands of wasps, a swirling mass of black and yellow, some still alive, crawling over their dead. The sound from inside the vacuum was a low, angry buzz that did not stop. Dave signaled Mackenzie to step back. The next phase was not safe for her to be close. He reached into his kit and pulled out a canister of CB80, a permethrin-based aerosol designed to knock down insects on contact. The label warns that it is for professional use only. The mist is so fine it can penetrate cracks no foam can reach. Dave inserted the straw nozzle into one of the secondary holes near the stump's root flare and pressed the trigger. The spray hissed into the cavity. For a moment, nothing. Then, a fresh wave of yellow jackets boiled out of a crack. Mackenzie had not even noticed, 10 feet from the main entrance. They had been using a hidden back door. Dave spun, sprayed the emerging column directly, and watched them drop. The chemical works on contact, attacking the nervous system, and the wasps fell like stones. But as the mist cleared, Dave saw something that made him stop cold. Inside the stump, illuminated by Mackenzie's camera light, was not just the paper comb. It was a queen cell, and it was still occupied. Dave froze. In 18 years of extermination, he had never pulled a live queen from a nest this late in the season. A queen cell in late August means something extraordinary. It means the colony was preparing to split, not just growing, not just defending, reproducing at the colony level. Yellowjacket nests operate like a superorganism with a single reproductive female. But when the population explodes past what the nest cavity can hold, the workers start feeding select larvae a different diet, royal jelly in larger quantities, and those larvae develop into new queens. Once those new queens emerge, they mate and scatter, each one capable of founding a fresh colony the following spring. The nest inside that stump had already reached carrying capacity and was now trying to export its aggression into the surrounding neighborhood. Dave moved the camera closer. Inside the gelatinous cell, a fully formed queen was visible, her abdomen pulsing, her wings still folded and wet. She was days, maybe hours, from emerging. If she had made it out, she would have mated and found a new cavity. A shed wall, a garden bed, another rotted stump, and the cycle would have started again. The colony bill disturbed was not an isolated problem. It was a factory producing more problems. Mackenzie asked quietly how many queen cells he thought were in there. Dave did not answer right away. He sprayed another burst of aerosol into the cavity, waited for the mist to settle, then said something that shifted the entire picture. He told her that for every visible queen cell, there were likely 3 more deeper in the comb. That stump could have been holding a dozen future colonies. This is the part of the yellowjacket story that property owners never see. They see the sting count. They see the hospital bill. They do not see the architecture. Underground nests are not random holes. They are engineered structures built from chewed plant fiber and saliva, insulated against temperature swings, vented to manage humidity, expanded in tiers as the workforce grows. The carton walls are waterproof. The comb layers are spaced precisely to allow workers to move between them and feed the larvae. At peak, a single nest can contain up to 15,000 cells, and the wasps know every inch of it. They navigate in the dark using pheromone trails and vibration cues. When Bill ran his mower over the root system, he sent a seismic signal directly into the nursery chamber. The response was immediate and unified, not a random attack, a coordinated defensive strike by 5,000 individuals that share a single genetic purpose. The CB-80 did its work. Within 10 minutes, the cavity fell silent. No more yellowjackets emerged from the cracks. Dave pulled the vacuum hose away and set the canister upright. Mackenzie zoomed in on the contents through the translucent plastic. The image was hard to process. Thousands of bodies, black and yellow stripes layered in a writhing mass, some still moving weakly. Mixed in with the adults were white larvae, translucent pupae, and fragments of paper comb. The vacuum had extracted not just the defenders, but the next generation. The colony was not just suppressed, it was removed at the root. But Dave knew better than to declare the job finished. He told Mackenzie they needed to verify what was still underground. He pulled a pry bar from the truck and began working the rotted wood of the stump apart. The first chunk of wood came away with a wet crack. Behind it was a cavity the size of a basketball, completely lined with gray paper-carton. 4 tiers of comb hung from the ceiling of the void, each one dense with cells. Most were empty. The larvae vacuumed out, but some still contained capped pupae, sealed inside silk cocoons, waiting to hatch. Dave counted the visible tiers, and then pushed deeper into the root system. The nest extended into a secondary chamber, another 2 feet below. This was the overwintering section. the part that had kept the colony alive through the previous winter. The insulation of the stump had trapped enough geothermal heat to prevent the queen from freezing. That is virtually unheard of in Pennsylvania. Yellowjackets do not survive hard freezes. But this nest had been positioned over a natural depression filled with decomposing wood, which generates its own heat. The colony had stumbled into a thermal refuge, and it had exploited it perfectly. Dave pulled out his phone and took a photo. He told Mackenzie that this nest was going into his personal archive, the one he showed new technicians to teach them what they were really up against, the one that proved that the rules about colony die-off could be broken. He said something else too, something that Mackenzie later told me she cannot forget. He said that if Bill had waited just one more week to mow that section of the lawn, those new queens would have emerged and dispersed. And the following spring, there would have been a dozen colonies instead of one, spread across the neighborhood, hidden under porches, inside retaining walls, in the ground around playgrounds. That is the real difference between a professional removal and a do-it-yourself attempt. A homeowner sprays a chemical into the entrance and thinks the problem is solved, but the nest remains. The comb remains. The larvae rot and attract secondary pests. And if the queen survives deep in the earth, she simply rebuilds. Dave does not just kill the adults. He excavates the structure. He removes the future. That is why he does the work for free for people like Bill, the ones who almost died from a problem they did not know they had. The final step was to open the vacuum canister and dump the contents onto a tarp. Mackenzie stood uphill with the camera. Dave unlatched the lid and tipped the canister forward. The pile that came out made Mackenzie take a step back. Thousands upon thousands of yellowjackets spilled onto the ground, a wet, buzzing carpet of insects in various states of death. And there, moving weakly among the bodies, was something neither of them expected to see. A single yellowjacket was emerging from its pupal cell, its translucent wings unfolding, its exoskeleton still soft and pale. It had been pulled from the nest as a pupa, and it was still trying to complete its development inside a pile of its dead colony. Dave knelt down and watched it for a long moment. He said one thing: nature is amazing, and he meant it, because even after all of it, the stings, the venom, the near death, the rage of the swarm, he could not help but respect the machinery of the organism. But he did not let it live. He could not. What emerged from that stump was a warning. What happens next is what every homeowner needs to understand before they start their mower this season. Bill was released from the hospital 3 days later. The swelling had subsided, his blood pressure had stabilized, and the doctors told him he was lucky in a way that few people get to be lucky. He had no history of allergic reaction before that day. The venom load from 25 stings was enough to trigger anaphylaxis even in a non-allergic adult. His body simply could not process that much poison at once. When Dave called him from the driveway to say the nest was gone, Bill did not say much. He told Dave he had been having nightmares about the sound of the swarm. He said he would never look at his yard the same way again, and he meant it. The stump was removed the following weekend. The cavity was filled with gravel. Bill reseeded the area with grass and put a bird bath on top. Something impossible to mow around, a permanent marker. The bill for the removal was $0. Dave had a policy for cases like this. If the homeowner ended up in the hospital, he did not charge. He called it his ambulance rule. In 18 years, he had used it more times than he wanted to count. Yellowjacket attacks are not rare. The CDC reports that stinging insects send over 500,000 Americans to emergency rooms annually. and yellowjackets are the leading cause among them. Nearly 100 people die each year from anaphylactic shock triggered by yellowjacket venom. These are not statistics to most exterminators. They are phone calls. They are homeowners who waited too long or did not know the nest was there until the vibration of a lawnmower turned an ordinary Saturday into a medical emergency. There is a window in late summer, roughly from mid-August through early October, when the risk peaks. The colony has grown to its maximum size. Food sources are becoming scarce, and the workers are hyper-defensive. A pedestrian walking 30 feet from a nest entrance can trigger a response. Children playing in a yard, a dog digging near a root. The mower is the most common trigger, but it is not the only one. Dave told Mackenzie on the drive home that if every homeowner spent 10 minutes walking their property in late July, looking for flight activity near ground level, they could prevent 70% of the attacks he responds to. 10 minutes, but nobody does it. Nobody thinks about yellowjackets until they are already running. The final surprising detail, the one that Dave saves for the end of every safety talk he gives, is this. The nest inside Bill's stump had been there for at least 2 full years. The evidence was in the depth of the comb, the overwintering chamber, the insulation of the wood that kept the queen alive through freezing temperatures. But the stump was visible from the kitchen window. Bill walked past it every morning. He mowed around it a dozen times before the day it tried to kill him. He never saw a single wasp. Yellowjackets do not need to show themselves to be present. They are silent, subterranean, and patient. And by the time you know they are there, you are already inside their kill zone. That is the warning. That is the lesson. And that is why Dave will take the next call, and the one after that, for as long as people keep mowing over the hidden world beneath their feet. The stump is gone. Bill still flinches when he hears a lawnmower start, but he walks his yard now, every July. Just like Dave said, he looks for the small things, the flight pattern, the hollow sound underfoot. Most of us never do. And that is the part that sticks with you. Yellowjackets are not the enemy you see coming. They are the enemy you never knew existed until you are already stung. The difference between a close call and a tragedy is usually about 10 minutes of awareness. So the question is, what is under your lawn? What is inside the old stump by the fence? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it before the mower starts? If this video hit home, hit subscribe. It helps more than you know. And if you are the kind of person who wants to be ready, who wants the knowledge to protect your family before a nest turns into an emergency, I have put something together for you. Check the first pinned comment. The link is there. I will see you in the next one.